Let's get this sports podcast party started, all right?
The J Reels Podcast.
Why don't you wait until July 1st to make an announcement? What a disgrace. He can rack up all these numbers in October, November, and December, but what really counts is let me see this in January.
The sports rebel without a pause, delivering fast-paced, jam-packed sports talk like no other.
Listen, I gotta call it as I see it. He is not a good player. I'm sick and tired of having to deal with the disappointment of this franchise. When does it stop? And yes, another winter that I can sleep in peace. Coming correct, direct, and in full effect. Let's get it.
This is the J Reels Podcast. Welcome aboard.
What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Very much doing well, feeling fantastic, in excellent spirits as we get closer to the end of the month of August, as I'm sure a lot of people are waiting for September, but we still got a few days between now and then. And there are a few things that I need to discuss and certainly unpack as we get a take and a taste of what the sports universe has to serve us, as this is the J Reels Podcast with Joe J Reels. For my first timers, welcome aboard. And for those who've been banging with me going back to the very beginning, somewhere in the middle, even as early as this past Monday, I welcome you guys and gals back. And for those out there who are wondering, when you look at the thumbnail and the headline, NFL, which I'll get to momentarily, and I'm sure you're probably thinking, what does J Reels have something to say? Or what do I have to say when it comes to that? I'm going to save that for the next segment because I want to start off with the baseball. Of course, with that being the only sport around, and yes, I get it that you have the Little League World Series, which I'm not going to discuss. Of course, I believe the championship is on Sunday, but we have plenty of even NBA to get to, a couple of signings that took place and a key injury to one team that may be on the come up this year in the NBA. But with the baseball, I think we're starting to see some separation. It sure looks like in the American League wild card, which I thought was going to be crazy, which was going to be topsy-turvy, and it has been to this point. But now it looks like there is a team that is saying, enough, the hell with it, this hot potato, one day to the next, it's going to be Texas, it's going to be Minnesota, it's going to be the Mariners, it's going to be the Orioles. Well, the Orioles never really got to that. Or maybe they did sometime last week. I think they actually did. After beating the Rays, they may have gotten the last playoff spot for about 30 seconds before they pass it on to the next team. But the one team that right now looks like that they've finally hit their stride, and the team that has been a part of the Major League Baseball postseason over the last few years, and even won a division, had actually a bye 2 years ago, it looks like the Guardians are starting to take off. Now, what does this mean for this time next week? I don't know. Now, the Guardians, remember, they were 5 games under, and now that they've put themselves in a position where they've won 7 in a row and now are 2 games over 500 with a 2-game lead. Now, remember, we can go back to as early as maybe last Thursday where we had those 7 teams for the one spot separated by 2.5 games. And now you have a situation where the Guardians are 2 games up on the competition, where some of the teams have even fallen a bit further back. And I understand we could be here maybe even as early as Monday on the next podcast to discuss how the Guardians have now collapsed. And we'll take a look at the weekend schedule because that's going to be important here. And next thing you know, a team will rise with a 4-game winning streak and they'll be tied with the Guardians or even maybe overtake them by the time we get to the final day of August. And that's how strange this whole American League wildcard situation has been. Now, it may make me look foolish in the grand scheme of things because I did say as early as last week how I thought the American League representative there in the 6th seed to get that final spot was going to be not even at 500. I said they'd be below 500, and it would be historic because Major League Baseball has not had a team, unlike the NFL, unlike the NBA, and hockey, it goes more by points, not really by record. But we've seen teams in football and in basketball qualify for the postseason at under 500 and even well under 500, especially in the NBA. And I thought baseball was going to have that because what made me think that after, 5 months of baseball, because here we are, it's the 27th day of August, and the season started on March 25th, I believe. So a little bit over 5 months ago, why would I have thought in any way, shape, or form that the American League, there was going to be one team to get that sixth spot was just going to all of a sudden have this uprising to the point where there were going to may not even be a race when we get to Labor Day, let alone the middle of September and beyond. And I got to give credit to the Guardians. And that's a team that, in the grand scheme of things, are they going to go ahead and win a World Series or be even in a championship series? Probably not. And even though 2 years ago they did make it to the championship series, one more time, a scenario where they had the 2 seed. The Yankees, remember, had the 1 seed, and they played each other in the championship series, and we know the Yankees won in 5. But I even feel that with their track record of not only making the postseason, and Stephen Vogt, the manager, we've seen what he's done there in his now 3rd season at the helm of the Guardians, and I shouldn't be surprised, but I am, because I thought maybe this was going to be the one year that the Guardians weren't going to click. Now watch, I just jinxed them, and let's see them come back to the pack and have another team in the American League just all of a sudden take over. But even going back to last year, remember, they were 12 and a half games behind the Tigers, I believe as late as early August. And remember, they went past them standing still. Now, the Tigers were able to get the payback in the wild card round because they did win the wild card round when they lost the division, had to go on the road to play in Cleveland, and they won that series. I believe, was it 3 games, if I'm not mistaken? I think it was 3 games. I know School pitched the first game. I've talked about that a lot, 7 2/3, 118 pitches, etc. But, excuse me, but I have to really, I don't want to say owe the Guardian fan an apology, but by discrediting them, and again, there were 5 games under 500 a week ago today. And now with this recent surge, to know that they have a 2-game lead on both the Rangers, 2.5 on the Orioles, I might add, but it is 2 in the loss. Not to say that they're home free. Not to say that, the American League wildcard race is over. Because, the Yankees and Red Sox, they're going to be the 4-5. And who knows, the Yankees could even overtake the Rays when it's all said and done. There's still plenty of games to be played there between Tampa and the Yankees. That next to last series in the Bronx, 4 games, which I think is going to be for the division. Excuse me. But the Guardians right now, you would think, based on this 7-game winning streak. And the funny thing is that they have the Royals coming into that building, which just had that 9-game winning streak snapped. And this is another team that they could pad their lead, knowing that the Royals just had this torrid run, and after the loss, and I believe they play today before they go to Cleveland tomorrow. Now watch the Royals get hot again. Not that they're going to be of any part of this wild card race, but with the Guardians coming back, and remember, with that 7-game winning streak, I understand it's against the Rockies and the Angels. They swept those teams, and even taking 2 out of 3 to the Giants last week at home. But I would think the Guardians, not to say that they are going to take off or not to say that they don't need to look over their shoulder, but would I be surprised that they gave this up, considering here we are in late August and they played well, and the Royals, and I'm even going to take a look at their schedule beyond that, just to get a better feel. Now, they have the Royals for 3. Toronto comes into their building, and then Detroit for 4. So I have something in my mouth here. Excuse me, guys. The Guardians have a 10-game homestand. They could certainly put Detroit out of their misery, and Detroit's been awful. So, and I don't even think they're going to be a part of this race anymore, and I'll go through the wild card in a second. And to talk about the separation and the teams that have actually fallen back here, let me put this right by my glass. So, Toronto, I understand. They're trying to fight for their own lives in the AL wild card. They could certainly put a dent in that for the Blue Jays to put them out of pasture. And we'll see who the Blue Jays are going to play this weekend, because this looks like it's going to be a very telling week for them. But with Kansas City, Toronto, Detroit, all in their building, And then interestingly enough, they go to Baltimore and Minnesota, two teams that, of course, are nipping at their heels. Or maybe not nipping, but are at least within striking distance. If the Guardians don't turn it on and put this American League wild card to rest here over the next 10 days, then chances are they may not even make it. And I'm saying that basing on them having the destiny in their own hands and knowing that they could at least take 2 out of 3 against the Royals. Now, does this mean they're going to win 10 in a row by the time we get to Monday? Possible. Why not? But 2 games, not by any means insurmountable. But I would think that with their know-how, knowing what it takes to win, the run that they had last year, and I know people, Jay Rose, what does the last year have to do with this year? I understand it doesn't, but that's pretty much the same team last year to this year. So you mean to tell me that between the manager, the ball players on the club, that knowing that, all right, the switch has now been flicked, and now, granted, the Guardians are not a team that all of a sudden could turn the switch and then run the table. But they do know their way around winning baseball. Now, it's not World Series winning baseball or playoff winning baseball with any type of sustenance, but that has to account for something, considering that this team knows what it takes, especially in the regular season, to win baseball games. And they've shown that here recently, albeit against bad teams. Totally get it. But this is where a team like the Guardians, when it's all said and done, if they do win the wild card, I'm not going to say they will, but would you be shocked if they do? I can't say I would. So that's number one. I had to start off with the Guardians. Now, as far as the American League wild card goes, Rangers 2 back, Orioles 2.5, as I mentioned. The Blue Jays are 3 back. And then you have Seattle, Minnesota, and Detroit. Both Seattle and Minnesota 4 back, and Detroit 5.5. Now, Detroit is 9 games under. They have bottomed out. They have a big series this coming weekend, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But for the way things are starting to look here in the American League wild card, Seattle and Minnesota, they better start looking for a life raft. And I understand Seattle's what? How many games back in the division? Probably the same amount, if I had to take a guess. Yeah, same amount, my ass. They're 2.5 back. I would think the division is where they're going to have their sights set on, as opposed to the wild card. And as it is right now with the Astros in New York, they split those first 2 games against the Yankees, and they're currently a game under 500. And the Mariners are 6 under and 3 in the loss, 2.5 back. I mean, somebody's going to have to win that division. Now, who knows? Here I was talking about the wild card this whole time, that somebody's going to be under 500. The wild card, it's going to be a mess there. Whomever's going to get that 6th seed, chances are, unlikely, but chances are you could have a possibility where the AL West division winner could be under 500. Would it be a shock? And I know Seattle has a very easy schedule in September. So that's something to keep in mind. But there's still 6 games under 500, and we know Seattle's been a disaster, in and out, up and down. Although they did win the first 2 games against the Phillies. And what did I say about the Phillies on Monday? They won 9 in a row. They got to go out west, 3-hour time change. And what happened? They lost the first 2 games of that series. Now, yesterday they shut out the Mariners 6-0. But goes to show you how the Phillies were due to cool off just a little bit. And I guess a 6-hour plane ride and 3 time zones certainly did that, where they lost the first 2 games of that series. But that is the American League wild card. I really think, even though Seattle's in the division mix, I think Seattle, Minnesota, they're going to start to trail off. We'll see about Toronto. They do play the Guardians next week, as you know. Orioles are hanging in. They won the first 2 games in St. Louis. And the Rangers, we'll see what they have there. Whatever's left in their tank. But it's certainly not looking to shape up to be of any suspense, any riveting pennant race there, especially with the AL wild card. We know about the divisions in the American League. Rays are 3.5 up on the Yankees right now. 6 on the Red Sox. White Sox now 3 in a loss, but 2.5 ahead of the Guardians. Forget about the Twins and Tigers for the division at 6.5 and 8 back. Forget about them. And then we know about the West, where Astros 66 and 67. Rangers half game back at 66 and 68. Mariners 64-70, 2.5 back. And as it is, if the Rangers win, the Astros lose, the Astros will have the last wild card spot. Or in fact, they'll be behind the Guardians for that last wild card spot. So talk about living on the edge there in the AL West. National League, on the other hand, now the Braves have turned it around after a rough week last week. And funny enough, they've actually, in their last 3 games, they've won 3 in a row. They beat the Brewers in that final game in Williamsport, and they've beaten the Dodgers in the first 2 games. And with the Phillies losing those first 2 games in Seattle, a little bit of separation there. 5 games, 4.5 back. Remember, it was 2.5 on Monday. So they gained 2 games here over the last 3 days. Then you have the Brewers, who were 7 up on the Cubs, 6.5. Forget about that. And we know about Dodgers Padres, 9 up on the loss. No big deal there. But in the wild card, Cardinals, forget about them. I understand they may be 5.5, but they're 2 games under 500. Actually, 6 now. 2 games under 500, but I'm not even going to include them. Forget about the Pirates, Reds, Nationals. They're all toast. Marlins are the only team that are going to hang in there, and who knows? They're in the same boat, I think, right now as the Mariners and the Twins in the wild card. 4 back. Blink of an eye could be 6 back. I'll see who the Marlins are going to play this weekend. As a matter of fact, I think they're home. Are they not? I think they host the series. We'll get to the schedule momentarily. But Diamondbacks, who are 1 back of the Padres, 3 back of the Phillies, 5 back of the Cubs. Now, I think the Cubs will be in good stead there with the 4 seed in the wild card race. Phillies are 2 behind the Cubs. And the Padres, 2 in the loss, 2 back behind the Phils. Now, here's the thing with the Diamondbacks that I had not discussed, and that's a bad job on my part. Ketel Marte, their all-star infielder, who last year had left the team, had an issue in the Dominican Republic, something with his home. All right, fine. This year, when Arizona was in Boston, he left the team to go back to Phoenix to supposedly rehab, I believe on a knee, hamstring, I forgot what it was, only to find out that he's in a casino outside of Phoenix hanging out. He was, I believe, suspended for a few games, and now it's a situation where they may have him back as early as next week, but if you're Torey Lovello and if you're the front office, Ketel Marte is pretty much telling you, like, I don't want to be on the team anymore. And I don't know why. I mean, Marte's been obviously a very good player. If I'm not mistaken, if not last year, the year before, he was second runner-up in the MVP in the National League. And for whatever the reason, I don't know if he's just decided that I've had enough. And the team, I believe they suspended him. Let me pull this up here. I got to be accurate, people. But Ketel Marte has certainly not done him any favors, not only with the team, but with the fan base. Now, yeah, they put him on the IL with the absence 3 days after he failed to show up for a game in Boston. Yeah, we know about that. Traveled back to Phoenix. The left knee. I knew it was a knee. I just said hamstring, but I knew it was a knee issue off the top of my head, but I had to make sure I was accurate on that. But it's just so weird how he went back to Phoenix, supposedly to rehab. Then he's hanging out in a casino. God knows to how many alcoholic beverages. I don't want to assume that. I'm alleged. Until what hour of the night. But here are the Diamondbacks in the midst of trying to qualify for the postseason. Something that the Diamondbacks have not done since they went to the World Series 3 years ago. And Marte is, I don't want to say punting this season or his Diamondback career away, but in essence, he's doing that. And then Lavelle even said he felt betrayed by Marte's disappearance. Come on, if you have an issue with your knee or with the team or whatever, you can pick up the phone and say, hey, guys, I'm out. Which obviously doesn't bode well with your teammates. Because I'm sure your teammates have had it up to here, and I'm sure even answering questions about Marte and his absence and what's going on behind the scenes and yada, yada, yada. But, I mean, this has become a mess. And listen, are the Diamondbacks going to be primed for another postseason run if they make the playoffs? Probably not. But you really have to think long and hard that his days in Arizona are numbered. And they still want him back next week because they realize Lovello, he wants to make the playoffs. Obviously, he's looking at his job and his future. Now, I don't think if they don't make the playoffs that he would get fired or he's on a hot seat of some sort. Now, who knows? If they have an awful September and they fall 5 back with 2 or 3 weeks to play, maybe he'll be a fall guy. But if they're in the thick of it to the end, or at least to the last week of the season, I can't see why they would fire Lovello. If anything, Marte will get sent packing. So that's just a mess there in Arizona with that scenario. But that is your wild card up to the second. And let me just double check something here with the wild card. National League. Yeah, Padres, Phillies. Yeah, no, that's pretty much sums it up. Let me just see if there's anything else. No, let me take a look at the schedule here for the weekend. You got some afternoon games today. Colorado, Washington, nobody cares. Baltimore, St. Louis. Not so much for the Cardinals, but for Baltimore. Houston and the Yankees tonight. Kansas City at Toronto. Milwaukee, the Brewers at the Mets. LA, Atlanta. Arizona at San Francisco. And I think that's a 4-game series, is it not? Yes, it is. So Arizona has a shot to get back in this thing. I mean, they're just, what was it, a game behind? For the weekend, Cincinnati and Chicago, the Cubs. Now, LA at Detroit. Interesting series here because tomorrow night is the return of Tarek Skubal. And funny that it has to be the first game. It's not as if Skubal could kind of, let's say if he were to pitch Saturday or Sunday where he'll have a day to kind of exhale. I'm sure with the crowd, they'll give him an ovation. But because he's pitching tomorrow night, I'm sure that's going to be a hot ticket. Tigers, as you all know, their season is out to sea. But the combination of Skubal returning and what that's going to be like, what his nerves, etc., I wouldn't be surprised either way, whether he goes out there and throws 6 innings of 2-hit, 10 strikeout baseball, or he goes 5 1/3, walks the ballpark, strikes out 6, but 4 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, and is just a bundle of nerves. But the even bigger thing is Sunday, we could see the return of Shohei Ohtani on the mound. He may toe the rubber there, and as of right this very second, let me just double check that. I did see that Ohtani. He's going to pitch, I believe, a simulation game in Detroit tomorrow, and then they'll determine whether or not he will pitch on Sunday. But right now, let's see, is it undecided? And is that a night game? I'm wondering. Yeah, right now it's undecided. So it all depends on how Ohtani responds tomorrow with that bullpen session. And if he's cleared to go, he's pitching Sunday. And if not, I'm sure they'll push him for another week, maybe the following Friday or Saturday, considering that if he's scheduled to pitch Sunday, and I'm sure they'll probably have a day off, likely Monday. I'll see that real quick. Yeah, they do not play on Monday, so he probably won't pitch to the following Saturday if he's healthy and ready to go. So you got that to look forward to if you're a Dodger fan, Bio, if you're in the room, for those who are watching live. And if you're wondering, Apple, Spotify, wait a minute, Bio? Who's Bio? One of the diehards here of the podcast as we do this live each and every Monday and Thursday, as you know. So we'll see what's happening with Ohtani then. But that's what you have there with the Dodgers and Tigers and what to expect there with Skubal, etc. But your schedule for the weekend, Miami at Washington. And that's a 4-game series. That's a wraparound. So, and they just swept the Nationals last week in Miami. So this is a big weekend for Miami. They're off today. After a win yesterday, which was a big win against the Red Sox, and they needed that. They couldn't get swept by them. But 4 games in Washington, and that's going to be big because maybe they win 3 out of 4. They still hang around this wild card chase. We'll see. Houston stays in New York. They play the Mets over the weekend. Kansas City at Cleveland, as you know, big series there for Cleveland to see if they could push themselves ahead of the pack. San Diego at Tampa. That's a pretty good series. Boston at New York. Can the Red Sox gain some games here? on the Yanks as far as, and also something interesting too. The season series between the two teams, I think the Red Sox, remember, they swept 4 in Fenway. Then the Yankees swept them in April, I believe. The Red Sox may actually have, it's either 5-5 or the Red Sox could be up. That series, oh, geez. That second series, they swept the 4. That was at Fenway that they swept the Yankees. And they may have taken 2 out of 3. I have to double check, but that's going to be interesting for tiebreaker because think about it. If both teams end up tied at the end of the season, if the Red Sox, let's say they win this series, I believe they'll have the tiebreaker, so they'll have the home field. Something to keep in mind. But obviously, that's a huge series between those two teams. Colorado at Atlanta, only because of the Braves. Seattle at Toronto. If you want to talk about battling it out for a wild card, although Seattle, I'm sure they're going to look at the division. Texas at Milwaukee. White Sox at Minnesota. Angels hosting the Phillies. Baltimore at Athletics, and then Arizona at San Francisco for 4, as you know. And you have some great series. LA, Detroit tomorrow, and we'll see what happens with Ohtani on Sunday. San Diego, Tampa. Boston at the Yanks. And then the other fringe, Seattle, Toronto, Texas, Milwaukee, etc. Round out your baseball schedule. And I see people already chatting in the room. I'll say what's up momentarily to everybody there. I appreciate you all. I'll make you uncomfortable. What is happening? Of course, to Val B, to Waffle Iron, a.k.a. Tatsuya Mai, Minnesota Fats, Kai Bowie Bull, Fuko Johnson. Yeah, I see you there, Waffle Iron, with your comment. I'll get to that later. J-Rod, Fishing Angel, of course. My diehards. Much love for you guys, as you know. I'll get back to those a little bit later on. Next thing I want to talk about, what you saw on the thumbnail and the headline as I put on my helmet and shoulder pads. And I'm going to ask this question now. I know it's 11:27. And you could post this in the room. I'd love to get your thoughts. And maybe, who knows, this could be a future vlog on the channel at JReels for those first time here in the room. Half dozen. Appreciate you all. Am I too harsh on the NFL? Am I too harsh on all the sports when it comes to certain things? Players, coaches, GMs, you name it. Cheers, H2O. Am I too harsh on the Shield in particular? Now, it's interesting because they did something last night that was long overdue. They did something that, to myself and to diehard football fans that I know were tired of the Pro Bowl, made no sense, why even bother, so on and so forth, the whole 9 yards. Well, they finally got rid of the Pro Bowl games. And it was called the games because they also had it became a flag football game, which, I mean, seriously, why? But they also had their little, whatever it was, their games where you see them, I don't know if they're running 40s or doing like the shuttles in between the cones and trying, the quarterbacks throwing the footballs through the tires or whatever it was. And they got rid of all that. Thank goodness. To me, it's a complete waste of time. And the crazy thing is that the rating was pretty decent to watch those Pro Bowl games, which to me, the immortal words, they could play right outside in the courtyard and they could have all of the top NFL players there. I draw the blinds. Why even bother watching? And I told you that story many years ago where I won a contest to watch the Pro Bowl in Miami in 2010. And I got there late. I got there probably middle of first quarter, but it was so bad that I left halfway through the third quarter. It was just an eyesore. It was a bore. It was awful. And I only went because it was a trip to Miami in January, leaving New York on a Friday when it was, true story, 13 degrees. Who wouldn't go to Miami to even watch? And I got the ticket, so you know I'm going to go. But even then, 16 years ago, it was a snooze fest. So the NFL got it right by canceling the Pro Bowl games altogether. But, of course, they can't get themselves can't get out of their own way. So the NFL, although you're not going to see any of these players, whether it be in Las Vegas, or I know they've held the Pro Bowl games in Orlando, so you're not going to see any of that the week before the Super Bowl and after a conference championship Sunday. But they're still going to have Pro Bowl rosters. They're still going to have, oh, well, these are the players that are going to make the Pro Bowl if there was a Pro Bowl. What? Why? To me, that is a complete waste of time. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, there are clauses in certain players' contracts if they make the Pro Bowl, whatever. First off, everybody makes the Pro Bowl, as we know. Second of all, a lot of the players that would be in the Pro Bowl, they normally don't play in the Pro Bowl. So if Patrick Mahomes made it for the 9th straight time, or however many times he's made it, you think he's going to go to the Pro Bowl? Chances are he's in Super Bowls half the time, so he's not going to play. But what? Come on. Why? To me, the barometer of a top player in the NFL is the all-pro team. First and second team. To me, that's the one that really counts. Making a Pro Bowl, I'm sorry. And now that you don't even have the games, why even bother making up a roster? So what? All right, we're going to have the 3 NFC quarterbacks. We're going to have the offensive line. We're going to have the 2 wide receivers, the tight end. Just do that for the all-pro selection. And if you want to add another layer to it, if you want to have a 3rd team all-pro, which to me, just keep it second team, first and second. That's enough. NBA is different because the NBA has first, second, and 3rd team all-NBA because that shows you who the top 15 players are in the NBA voted by writers, etc. Which I can understand. But we don't need a 3rd team all NFL or all pro NFL team. We don't need that. If they want to do that, fine, I guess. All right, great. Maybe in the years to come because it's asinine that they're going to actually have a Pro Bowl roster when there's no Pro Bowl game. I mean, but that's the NFL. And I commend them for finally. Now, again, this is years in the making. This wasn't something that I'm proud about. Break out the pom-poms. To me, it's more like, all right, thank God you finally got the hint that the Pro Bowl games, the Pro Bowl itself is, and now it's flag football. Please. I mean, what are we doing here? So they got rid of that, great. But they want to keep the Pro Bowl rosters. I don't know what to tell you, people. I maybe it's me. And trust me, I'm not trying to find reasons or any inkling to just pound on the NFL. I'm not. But this doesn't make any sense. And now, to add insult to injury, because whenever the NFL takes a step forward, they don't take a step back. They don't take 2 steps back. They take 3 steps back. Now, I get it. I may be wasting my breath on this. Advice guy, what's going on, my man? Good to see you. And I know I owe you an appearance on your, which I heard Saturday is when you're going to do your sports talk, where this Saturday, I may be free. I may be. So keep that in mind. I have your number. We'll converse. We'll make sure to do that. I may be wasting my breath on this, people, but I don't know if you saw that the NFL has re-upped their deal with DraftKings, FanDuel, and now Fanatics, who I believe Fanatics is now in the gambling aspect of things. And of course, why not? It's all about making money, but it's really making money at the expense of the degenerate gambler that's out there losing their shirt and their house and all that. And you guys know how I feel about gambling. But it gives them, obviously, the liberty to post in-game betting or prior to the game starting, whether or not so-and-so is going to throw 3 touchdowns or whether or not so-and-so is going to rush for a touchdown or who's going to recover the first fumble or whatever it is. And even though, I love to talk about the over-unders, but I do that for fun. Trust me, I am not spending any red cent, whether I'm currently, as you know, my status, doing this independently, or if I had money coming out of the wazoo. I would not waste my time even thinking about placing a bet on an over-under. I have fun with it because I had something to keep throughout the course of the year, to track, to monitor, etc., and to see how it plays out. But trust me, I have no regrets whether if I went 5-1, whatever, I should have bet. No, I don't care because, again, it's just for fun. But the thing is, knowing that they bring in fanatics, I believe Caesars Sportsbook was the other betting operation that they were in bed with. But this just adds the layer of the NFL knowing that it's all about the money. It's all about ka-ching. And then, right, it is capitalistic. We know, I've said it 1,000 times, and I promise I'll end it on this note. But it's just a shame, and it's just a disgrace because they don't care about the guy who is hoping to cash in on that big bet or loses his mortgage, his house, whatever. They don't care. They just want people to go ahead, watch the games, bet on their teams, fantasy, this, that, and the third. And just like you've seen recently with the $18 billion that Meta is going to have to put out because of how social media has damaged a lot of the youth of America when it comes to doom scrolling and obviously being bullied online and sadly teenagers committing suicide because of these fools that are just, for whatever the reason, these keyboard warriors. And I understand this blueprint and fine print. I should say fine print, not blueprint. I understand this fine print when it comes to these betting houses and, oh, we're not responsible for this, or, oh, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Obviously, you have an addiction and so on and so forth. But what's going to happen? Somebody's going to actually end up losing everything, sadly, and I hope it doesn't happen, but taking their lives, and then the family has to deal with the fallout, and then maybe they go ahead and try to sue the NFL or DraftKings or FanDuel, etc., although they'll be protected, but maybe there'll be some sort of payout on the line. Say, here, lady, we're sorry about your husband, or we're sorry about your brother, or we're sorry about your cousin, but here you go. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not a shock, it's not a surprise, but, you know, it's just another layer to add. And thank you, Advice Guy. Please. I mean, it's just... the NFL, they just can't get out of their own way. And I'm the only one that's going to say it. There may be a few other people. I don't want to say I'm the only one. But this is why I do what I do, is to call them out. Because you mean to tell anybody on ESPN is going to do this? No way. The ESPN has their own ESPN bet, whatever it is. They're not doing this. None of these other podcasts that are tied in, and that's one of the reasons why. And I'll say this, I promise I'll get off it. This is why I will not, underline, will not be in bed with any of these gambling houses. And I get it. We've talked about this a million times. To me, I just don't want to be a part of that. And Jay Russo can say, well, you have fun with the over-unders, whatever. Yeah, but I'm having fun with that. I'm not encouraging you to bet because, again, when we get to week 9, 10 in the NFL, oh, let's see how my over-unders are doing. Oh, all right, great. You hear me talking about point spreads? You hear me talking about prop bets? You hear me talking about any of that stuff? No, because I don't do that. And people don't even understand that. Well, you're a big sports fan. How do you not? I just don't. I like to keep my money, the little that I have of it. But please. So anyway, that's that. And yes, I see a lot of conversation going on there with Advice Guy. Yeah, it's all about the money. I mean, it's just, it just is. And I promise I'll get to more of those comments later. So that is some of the NFL stuff I want to get to. A couple other things too before I move on to the NBA, and then I'll get to all your comments and we'll go back and forth, etc. Deshaun Watson, the fallout from that. He apologized on Monday, which to me, in one ear, out the other. Nobody wants to hear from him. And I get it that he has to have some sort of damage control. But we know Deshaun Watson, he's tone deaf. He's just looking at it from a standpoint of, oh, well, they booed me or they cheered me off the field when I tore my Achilles, as if the fans knew that you tore your Achilles. But, right, they shouldn't be cheering a guy getting carted off or helped off the field. That's definitely a no-no. But now the bigger picture for Watson is that he has to produce. And their first 2 games on the road, and unless he goes 0-2 and he throws 9 interceptions, who knows? You may have Shedeur Sanders starting by week 3. Now, to me, we all know there was so much outrage over Deshaun Watson about, oh, how can he start? He's awful, and this, that. I can give you 46 million reasons why he's starting week 1. Seriously? And for people to say, oh, well, they should just cut him. Oh, it's just 1 year left. Do you know how much they're going to have to deal with dead money in the cap? And I'm not a capologist in the least. But that's not just this year. And I understand his contract ends this year, but I'm sure there's going to be some dead cap issues even going the next year with this contract because that's how it works. You would think that, oh, just cut him and that's it. No, they're going to have to deal with that and probably some other fallout when it comes financially. As if the Browns, and we know Jimmy Haslam, he's off in the wilderness somewhere, one of the worst owners in sports, but even he, I'm sure, has to recognize that, no, I got to keep him at least just for this year, and after this year, good riddance. Now, who knows? Maybe there'll be some sort of renaissance when it comes to Watson. Not to say he's going to be all-world or he's going to be a Pro Bowl player, but let's say they come back home after the first 2 weeks on the road and they're 1-1, and he played good. I'm not going to say decent, but let's say he played good. Wasn't terrible, wasn't turning the ball over, wasn't fumbling it all over the place. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, he'll get himself back in good graces where they come back. I don't know, their first game is at home. I think it's Carolina. And the Panthers, who knows what the Panthers are going to be, as I talked about yesterday on the live stream. You would think they'd improve, but we don't know. So that's number one there with Watson. Number two, it's good to see the SEC, Big 10, Big 12 take a stand here, knowing that no matter NBA, NFL, WNBA, whatever it is, that you cannot go back to college. And I believe the SEC, they're going to, suspend coaches. Let me look that up. Hold on. I had the article right here. Yeah, they're actually going to suspend coaches if they add players to their teams in the SEC. And it was interesting because at first, when the Big 10 and Big 12 did that, the SEC was irked by pro players coming back. Well, do something about it. What do you mean irked? Well, they actually did a couple days ago. And knowing that they're going to suspend coaches, I think that's perfectly fine. Because the Daquan Wrights of the world, who was in Cleveland camp for the Browns, and decided that, I'm going to get cut here. I'm going to go to not only back to college, but I'm going to play for my old coach at Ole Miss, who is now at LSU. And nobody wants to hear from Lane Kiffin. And Lane Kiffin is talking through both sides of his mouth, because if you saw him, and I saw the clip of it on ESPN with McAfee, because when he said that, they should allow players to come back. And even though he said that, yeah, I understand why they're doing this, but at the same time, it's not as if that they were in the pros for a few years, whatever. They should have the opposite. No, shut up, Lane Kiffin. You are the biggest snake in college football by far. And that's not going out on a limb. I'm not the only one that feels that way. So please, you have a giant bullseye on your back, and I'm sure everybody in the nation is hoping that you don't win a game this year. So, and you're going to play Clemson to start. Hopefully Dabo Sweeney has something cooked up for LSU, because, boy, that would be just poetic justice to get them off to an 0-1 start and already put them behind the 8 ball for any chance of them qualifying for the postseason here after you ditched out on Ole Miss last year, who had that great run, as we know, and we don't need to rehash that. So that's the situation with that, and I'm glad that they're not going to allow any players that cut day is Sunday in the NFL, that a lot of these players that are 22, 23 years old, they'll be, I'm going to go back. Over and out. And there was also another player that was on Ole Miss last year that decided to go back to play for Lane Kiffin at LSU. I know Daquan Wright was the first guy, and there was another guy that followed suit as well. So you got those two things. And then you got that thing. And the last two things I have, the Texans, who need a wide receiver in the worst way, as we've seen Tank Dell coming back, and they also lost a kid, what's his name? I talked about it last week on the Texans. It's eluding me right now. But they traded for Kayshon Boutte, the former New England Patriot wideout, who brings another weapon to Houston to go along with Nico Collins. Dalton Schultz, I believe he's still on the team there, right? Is he not? I haven't followed the Texans that closely, the former Cowboy tight end. So they made a trade there. And then lastly, this thing with Jed York. Now the good thing, if there is a silver lining, which is not much in this case, as if you didn't hear, Jed York, the owner of the San Francisco 49ers, was caught trying to contact 3 different prostitutes there where he got caught and was arrested. Now, Roger Goodell, we don't know what's going to happen with him. They're still reviewing his case. He's got to be on ice for half the year because even owners are affected by the personal conduct policy in the NFL. So they're not immune by any stretch just because they do something. And I understand you could go back to the days of Robert Kraft. I don't know if that rule was implemented after that when he was caught in the strip mall there down in Florida on the morning of the AFC Championship game between the Chiefs and the Patriots there in 2018. But York, I mean, he was caught red-handed. And the only silver lining is that he, I believe, filed for divorce from his wife back in May. Now, that doesn't mean he's officially divorced. But here he is a few months later. He's out here trying to find a woman of the night. I mean, seriously? What are we doing? That's why they have all these apps. You want to hook up, you want this, you want that. I'm sure go to Tinder, find whomever you want, and that's it. Not that I would suggest that to anybody, but here's a guy that, who knows? That's his personal issue with his wife, divorce, whatever. But here he is. He's out and about. He's an owner of a football team. And what does he do? He's trying to... I'm sorry. Again, I'll take off the morality police cap. But what are we doing? If you're that pent up, I'll just use those words. If you need to get your rocks off or whatever, do you really have to go that route? I mean, if you're an owner of a team, why don't you just go to Vegas, go on the strip? I'm sure there's probably escorts, whatever. They'll go that route. Not that I would even suggest that. Again, swipe left, swipe left. All right, what about this one? Hey, what about... That's all. And you can say, hey, all I want to do is hook up. That's it. That's that. That's all. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. But let's see what Goodell, they're going to review that. Obviously, they haven't commented on how long it'll be out. I would think, listen, he didn't kill anybody. He did something that he shouldn't have been doing. I said half the season. It may be a little bit too much. Maybe he gets suspended the first 4 games. I don't know, 6 games, whatever. You want to send a message, half the season, that may be too much, but you get where I'm coming from. But that's what you got there. Oh, what a mess. What a mess. Love those advice guy. Love those happy endings. Yeah, I'll put that up here. I don't know, man. I just don't. I got news for you. And Lord knows, I've been divorced once. So, and I don't want to go through that again. I went through that the first time. A lot of it my doing. So listen, and even then, I wasn't out there trying to, hey, you know, on the west side of Manhattan, trying to link up with or go through a particular route. Come on. Come on, guys. You got to do better than that, man. Come on. Anyway, let me pivot from that. So as I take off the helmet and shoulder pads, a couple of things with the NBA that I want to get to, and then I'll get to all the comments. We'll go back and forth. Whatever's on your mind, we could discuss. You had 2 signings recently. One I think could actually be impactful, maybe too strong, but influential. Jonathan Kuminga, who the Warriors, for whatever the reason, Steve Kerr, and I understand Kuminga's also responsible and also guilty and for his doing in trying to get a contract extension, which he did, but then they shipped him to Atlanta, I believe right before the All-Star break. And then Kuminga, who I believe was a free agent, had to be, signed a 2-year, get ready for this, $12.4 million deal. Now, I get it. Kuminga was a guy that a lot of people thought that was going to be a part of the Warriors' future. And for whatever the reason, fizzled out, went to Atlanta. We saw what happened there. They had that late run in Atlanta to where they made the postseason and actually had a 2-1 series lead over the Knicks. And then after that, just got blown out standing still. Well, Kuminga goes to the Timberwolves. Now, the T-Wolves with, obviously, Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Rudy Gobert, I get it more from defense. But Kuminga brings a guy that's a forward, two-way player, maybe could flourish in this system. And I would not be surprised if he has a big year. It's not as if he's going there to be the man. He's not that type of player in that regard, but a good two-way player, a guy that I'm sure in the right system, and you would have thought Golden State was the right system, but under Chris Finch, the head coach of the Timberwolves, I mean, who knows? He could be one of those sneaky guys that's going to have one of those years that, listen, is he going to be All-NBA? No. Could he be an All-Star? He could. I don't think he will. But watch. You'll get a third into the season or halfway in, and the guy's averaging 22 points a game, flourishing in Minnesota, getting an opportunity, not having the weight of what happened there in the Bay Area or the fluid transition of the offseason, where am I going to go, who am I going to play for next, etc. And who knows? Let's see how he does. And I think that's a pretty, sneaky addition. Again, he's not going to change the face of the Western Conference. But I think that was a very shrewd pickup, shrewd signing, if you ask me. So that's number one. The other signing that you saw here was Benedict Mathurin, the former Pacer, went to L.A., got traded for Ivica Zubac, now signs a 2-year, $16 million deal with the Pelicans. And Mathurin, who was a former number one pick, had a good, I believe he had a good game 6 in that NBA final. Didn't have a big game 7. But Mathurin now on his third team in less than 2 years. Let's see how he does in New Orleans. New Orleans, a team still trying to find their way with Zion and guys like Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. And, I mean, listen, it is just a mess down there at the Bayou. And we thought it was going to turn around. Remember that series that they had against the Suns in that opening round? I believe that was when the Suns went to the NBA Final in 21. And a lot of people thought that the Pelicans were going to be on the rise. Obviously, that wasn't the case. But let's see how he does down there in the Crescent City for Mathurin as he continues his NBA journey. And then you also had a bad injury there. They have a ton of guards in Portland, as we know. The return of Damian Lillard. We know about Scoot Henderson. And I know I'm missing a player or two. I'm not in NBA mode. But Shaedon Sharpe, who had to have surgery for a meniscus, is going to be out 6 months. So if that happened just a few days ago, he's not going to be back until February at the earliest. So key blow. I know that Portland has, the other kid is Denny Avdija. I believe he's a combo. I believe he's a guard forward, but Avdija is another key guy in that team. But Sharpe, that's going to be a big loss, you would think, for Portland, who's trying to see if they could be a part of that lower rung of the Western Conference, maybe to be that 5-6 seed as opposed to be through 7 through 10. But we'll see how the Blazers will fare without Sharpe for a significant amount of time. And listen, I'm not trying to make Sharpe out to be Clyde Drexler, but he did average, I believe he averaged 20 points a game last year. If I pull up his stats, I was starting to do so. But Sharpe, who could jump through the roof of an NBA gym, yeah, he was 20 points, 4 rebounds. Doesn't give you much outside of scoring, but listen, we scored 20 points in the NBA, and he's 23 years of age, good player, out 6 months. That's going to be significant. So we'll see how Portland fares as, think about this, training camp for the NBA, if I pull that up real quick, should be, I probably think, less than a month. The training camp starts September 22nd. And then that's when you have media day. Everybody will be reporting. Yeah, reporting date for overseas preseason teams are the 21st. And then reporting date for other veteran players. So, yeah, 22nd. So, the 29th, I get it. You're going to have teams that are going to have preseason games overseas. And I think the Celtics are one of the teams. 21st, 22nd. Then veteran players report on the 28th. Training camps open the 29th. Preseason on October 3rd, and we know the season begins a few weeks after that with the triple header. Why? I don't know. Celtics Pistons at 3. I mean, come on. Then you have Sixers, Knicks, and OKC and San Antonio, I believe, is your wrap-up. All right, comments. And I appreciate you all for sticking around, hanging around here. We'll get to all of them. Waffle Iron. We know the AKAs. I know, 6-run inning. Yeah, that was a crazy comeback there by the Reds yesterday. And you've seen a few of those comebacks too. Who also had a 6-run ninth inning the other day? Oh, it was the Phillies when they beat the Cardinals. And the Valkyries, they have a big playoff, Valkyries. We'll see. Eugenio Suarez could be claimed off waivers to any contender. You know, it'd be interesting would the Yankees touch him. I know Ryan McMahon, but they need a right-handed bat. Would they even dare do that? That would be ballsy if the Yankees did that. I understand that third base with Ahmed Rosario and there's your right-handed guy and Ryan McMahon, but Eugenio Suarez has power. And who knows? Now, let me think of any of the contenders. Marlins won't touch him. See, that would be a Marlin. Marlins should make that move. Why not? Who's that third baseman now? Yeah, Otto Lopez plays short. Xavier Edwards at second. Damn, who's that third baseman? Drawing blank. Connor Norby? I think it could be Connor Norby's at third baseman. Listen, Miami would never do it. And it cost nothing. It'd be interesting. And, of course, the roster, September 1st, they expand to 40 players, as you know. But it'd be interesting to see where he ends up. In fact, let's see. I didn't realize he was let go. Waffle Iron. Leonard Williams gets a $90 million 3-year extension. Oh, good for him. I have not watched Hard Knocks, by the way. I still haven't watched that. Oh, look at this. Oh, I didn't even mention these few things. Roki Sasaki IL bound after exiting with blister. It's a blister. He'll be all right. I know those suckers take a while to heal, though. And then Fernando Cruz, partial UCL. Yeah, he hadn't pitched well as of late. Live arm, but he's not. But that's a loss there for their bullpen. All right, Suarez hit the home run. Did he not? Grand Slam? Hold on. When did he get released there, Waffle Iron? Hold on a second. Eugenio Suarez. Pause that. Yeah, it still shows that he's on the Reds, and he did it at Grand Slam yesterday, but all right, we shall see. Yeah, Ketel Marte. I know. He's got to get traded. And what's his contract situation? Yeah, I mean, come on. What are we doing? Contract. Yeah, that's a terrible optic. I mean, what are we doing? He signed a 6-year, 100. That's right. He did sign that last year. So, yeah, he's not going anywhere. I mean, they're going to have to trade him. But I wouldn't be surprised. Either they sit down with him and say, what the hell's going on? Or they say, we've had enough. When is that? Through 2031, 6 years, 116 million. So if you do the math, I mean, listen, that's not a bad contract. What was that, about 18 million a year? 18 times 6. Yeah, it's roughly about that. How old is he, too? He's got to be, like 31? Ketel Marte, he's 32. It'll actually be 33 October 12th. Yeah. Yeah, listen, he's still a good player, but he's not young. No Riley Green, no Kerry Carpenter. The Tigers are toast. It's over for the Tigers. Yeah, I'd have to say it is, J-Rod. And Fishing Angel, of course. Countdown is on. Saturday, even more excited for next Saturday. Go Blue. I know, I didn't even talk about the college football because, again, TCU, North Carolina, is that going to get anybody revved up? Even though I know for J-Rod's revved up. And that's a bad job on my part. I should have mentioned that in the college football. But I'll talk more college football next Thursday for sure as we get set for the college football season. Fishing Angel, I'm doing well. And even better than that everybody's here. As you already know. I know that was wonderful to hear. It's not to what I'm saying. That's what, of course, Val. Doing good. Yes, I did see that about Alec Pierce. Good one there, Val. Hell no, you're not. It's called passing. I'm the same, my friend. Oh, thank you, J-Rod. That was the Am I Too Harsh on the NFL? But listen, I'd be like that towards all the leagues. So it's not even just an NFL thing. And how can I say this? It's not like I'm trying to find any little instance to pound the NFL, no matter how much oxygen they suck out of the sports room. But, yeah, just to know that they got rid of the Pro Bowl, is that a big whoop? No, it's not. But knowing that you're not going to see it again, all right, great. Should have done it years ago, but fine. But then they're going to keep the Pro Bowl rosters? So I got to get on them for that. And the gambling thing, don't get me started. You already know about that, so I don't even need to rehash that. Yes, Val, you hit around the head. Removed Pro Bowl. Oh, he did sign. Uh-oh. Oh, closing in on extension? How long? Yeah, I got my Twitter page up here. Yeah, Cale McCarr, he's going to be the highest paid defenseman in the sport. And there's no way they're letting him go. McCarr's one of the top 7-8 players in the sport. What's this with Luis Garcia Jr.? What is this? Aha. Let's not put George Lombard into the Hall of Fame just yet, my friends. 5 straight games with an error? Yeah, I've been in and out with the Yankees. Yeah, I watched a bit of the game Tuesday night. I didn't watch last night's game. But I did not know that he had ties record with 5 straight. Was that a Yankee record or MLB record? Committed an error in his 5th consecutive game. Yeah, so Phil Rizzuto, Derek Jeter, Didi Gregorius, he is not just yet. And people can say, how dare you put Didi Gregorius with Phil Rizzuto and Derek Jeter in the same sentence? Well, a lot of people love Didi Gregorius. And listen, I don't want to pile on the kid Lombard, but all I saw in the post, George Lombard, I heard a guy, as a matter of fact, can I share this real quick? And I was so dying to jump in on this. So Sunday, I was picking up food at a restaurant and they had a Yankee game on, playing Toronto. And Lombard came to bat, and this guy, he could be a good sports fan. I don't know. I don't want to judge. But he was sitting there at the bar with his, I guess, girlfriend, wife, whatever. And he says, oh, this kid George Lombard, oh, he's going to be the next big thing. He's going to be this. Oh, wow, you wait and see. Bruh, he's been in the major leagues for 45 minutes. I'm sure he's going to be a great player. I'm sure. Listen, we could all say that now. And I don't want to compare him to Anthony Volpe by any means, but what were people saying about Anthony Volpe when he first came up? Everybody thought he was going to be the next Derek Jeter. Oh, homegrown, loves the Yankees. All you want to do is be a Yankee shortstop. Everybody before his first game. Ray, if you're on here, you know. Before his first game, everybody was talking about not opening day. It was Volpening day. They made this guy out to be the second coming of you name it. And where is he now? He's not even going to be on the Yankees. I mean, unless Lombard continues to fumble, bumble, and stumble defensively. I mean, I don't know, but yeah. Advice guy, my man. Let's see. I'll make you uncomfortable. Fridays. What's that emoji there? It looks like a duck with a. What was that? An axe? That looks like a whatchamacallit. That could be a logo of a minor league baseball team. If that was to me, maybe not. Oh, how about the power? Oh, we're talking about that next. I see Powerball. No, I appreciate you. If that was directed towards me, because you know me, I got to go back stream of consciousness here. How about the Powerball in the UK now? Speaking of which, what is the Powerball? I know somebody at the Powerball was almost $1 billion last week or 2 weeks ago. No, it was actually over $1 billion. Now that I think about it. Is the next Powerball 119 million? Oh, man. All I know. Oh, no. Hold on a second. Let's try that again. Yeah, you guys know how I feel if I hit that sucker. Yeah, 119. So nobody hit last night. New York Lotto, 5.2 million. I played that also. Listen, I got news for you. If I hit 5.2 million, it says the cash value 2.6, and that's also Saturday, I got to play that. 2.6. You know what they say? I'm going to pivot here for a second if you don't mind. Which is true. There was a guy many years ago who I watched. I think he was on CNN Headline News. And I don't even know if I believe he's still around. Is he still around? I haven't seen this guy in years. But he was a guy that was awesome. His name was Clark Howard. Nerdiest guy on the planet. God love him. But he had all these tidbits on how to save money, how to invest, how to this, how to that, etc. And one of the things that he said the most, which stuck, really hit home, was if you ever come across a large sum of money, meaning more than 100,000, and if you haven't hit the jackpot, forget about it. He said that if you want to go crazy, spend money, whatever, take 10% of that, not of the gross of the net, of course. Take 10% of that and have with it the way you want, which makes a lot of sense. So let's say 2.6 million, 10% of that is $260,000. $260,000, I could do a ton of that. And a ton in the sense where I'm not going to buy a new car. Because that's going to be, even if it's a entry-level type car that no bells and whistles, all that, that's going to be easily 25% of that 260. So I wouldn't do that. But yeah, I'm going to Bora Bora, or I'm going to buy whatever it is. But 10%, you're allowed to do whatever you want. After that, that's where you want to invest. Roth IRAs. If you, obviously you can't put it in a 401k if you're working, but a Roth IRA, especially if you're young. Me, I'm next month, at the end of next month will be 2 years where I could actually withdraw from my Roth IRA, if you can believe that. But if you're young, Roth IRA people, you could, I believe, invest up to $7,000 a year. Start doing that now. If you don't have a 401k, and I get it, a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck, I understand, so on and so forth, but that's where you can cash in, especially when it comes to retirement. Start now. I kid you not. Even if you can't invest $7,000 in the whole year, you can put whatever. You can start off with $100 and keep adding. Roth IRA. Trust me on that. It matures. You just keep adding as much as you want, and you could tap out at $7,000. So the most you can put is $7,000. So even if you came across $10,000, oh, I want to put $10,000, no. The most you could cap is $7,000 annually. But think about it. Let's say even if you put in half that, $3,500, and you're 40 years old, and you can't withdraw till you're 59 and a half. So let's say 20 years. Do the math. 3,500 times 20. And math is my strong point, but I want to make sure I say this correctly. Where's my calculator? Can't believe I'm actually talking about this right now. As it's taking forever. No, we don't want that. There we go. calculator. So, right. So if you're going to put 3,500 in, right, times that by 20 years, and I think you could still add even after that. No, not minus. What am I doing? Here I am talking about finance. Yeah, 70 grand. But you got to also remember, 70 grand, it's going to mature once it's in there. So that could be maybe $100,000. And obviously, if you put 7,000, if you tap out over 20 years, that's 140 grand. Roth IRA, people, I'm telling you. That's the direction you want to go. All right, let me get back to the, here we go. So, yeah. Uh-oh, Chris, shouldn't you be working? Listen, if he's working, I appreciate that. Big time there, Chris. Thank you. Did a Bible study. Oh, you did a Bible study last night. Nice. Nice. I know. And there's one guy, people, advice guy, and I'm sure everybody in the room who's followed, but if there's anybody who's this advice guy, definitely follow him. Shows up, rocks it out, different teams every night. I know the sports. Got to get on that. Maybe Saturday. I would like to Saturday. I have an idea for Saturday. See if you can name all the names. Seems the location of the conference. I think you could do it in the Big Ten. And a conference your team is in, I think. Yeah, the Big Ten. Yeah, in the Big Ten, you got to also include Oregon. And we know where they play. Washington. Yeah, go through all that. Absolutely. Let's see. Advice guy, no worries. I needed it. It helped me tremendously. Oh, that's good. Awesome. Love to see it, hear it. OpenAI just settled for this. Uh-oh. Oh, as far as the, what you call it? That's pretty cool, though. Your avatar. As the Vice guy said earlier, it's all about the money as I'm catching up on these comments. It is. NFL. All right, please. Thank you, Vice. Good. Awesome. No doubt. Most definitely. No, happy to even read that. Spot on, yes. Love it. I see the old time screen in front of the TV. And care less, yeah. No, and the thing is that, no, and it's funny you say that, advice guy, because, right. Listen, the fans get crazy. I know obviously younger fans. I mean, you got probably guys my age that are throwing stuff at the TV or yelling and screaming. I do too, but I've been so much better to the point where even that Steeler loss to the Texans, which I had done a live stream for, and of course at the end my wife looks at me and goes, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm all right. I'm good." Now, if it was an excruciating loss or debilitating loss, I get it's the playoffs. And not to say that, loss to loss, so what? Life goes on. And it does go on. But, yeah, I've taken losses better. Now, if they're brutal losses, I mean, ugh. Like even that Met loss, when they lost to the Marlins last year, game 162, and the Reds got into the postseason, I did my live. Yeah, I was upset, angry, frustrated, disgusted, etc. But later that night, no, maybe not till the next day, because the next day I did the podcast, had the vent. But, yeah. I've been a lot better. And yeah, and I don't play fantasy where these guys literally DM these players, "Yo, I had you on my fantasy team." You need to find something else to do if you're going to do that. I mean, seriously. That's why I don't do it. Bet on the taxes and a WNBA. You mean WNBA? Uncomfortable? Who was the one owner that got caught in a prostitution sting? Oh, yeah, Jed York, Niners. Ray, I'm sure you heard my comment about George Lombard. J-Rod, unacceptable. You can eat later. That's good. What do you think my Florida State Seminoles record is going to be? Oh, I didn't realize you're a Florida State fan, Ray. I don't know, but here's one for Ray a few years ago. Let's bring this up, see what Ray has to say about this. So, Ray, when your quarterback Jordan Travis got hurt, and even though we're undefeated and did not make it into and that was the last of the 4-team college football playoff, were you that upset? Now, did they deserve to go? You could say they did, but we know the reason why they didn't choose them to go, because the quarterback was out. And therefore, Florida State got all upset where they felt, well, now we're not going to play in the bowl game. And now that's this. Oh, this is a disgrace, so on and so forth. And what happened? They played Georgia, and they got their doors blown off, 63-3. And Georgia, they could have been the one to punt. They'd be like, hey, we won national championships. We don't need to play in this game. Nope. They said, oh, we're going to play Florida State. And they literally took them to the back of the woodshed. And that's a fact. They cried about, oh, we should be in the game. And let me see, Florida State, what was that year? That was the final year. Was that the year that Michigan won? I think it was, right? Was it not? J-Rod knows. He's on top of that a lot more than I am. Let me think. 2023, that was, yeah, because Alabama went. It was Michigan, Alabama, and then it was Washington and Oregon. And a lot of people thought Alabama shouldn't have gone because Alabama, they had the one loss that year, right? Did they not? I think Alabama had one loss. Yeah, and Jalen Milroe, I don't know what that fourth thing, that was just an awful play call. And I'm sure J-Rod is like keeling over, laughing over that. Jalen Milroe, they're going down the field. Jalen Milroe on a fourth and he did a quarterback draw, and he literally ran right into the line. What are we doing? But I think it was that year. And Florida State was outraged. Oh, how come? About this and that. There's no way. We're not going to show up to the bowl game. All right. The same thing would have happened. And they probably would have played Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, Michigan would have killed them. Ah, what a disgrace. Tigers didn't help you out with the Rays. Told you it wasn't happening. But they did. The Yankees did make up a game, though, in one of those games. But yeah, definitely not yesterday. These owners, man, love those happy endings, yes. Miami tuna fish, yeah. The Dolphins. Hey, that's Florida Bay. They'll be down in Florida. My team 49ers. Yeah, no, that's. Next Saturday, Michigan's game is a night game. You guys will get to see how really passionate I am about Michigan football. You're watching. All right. Now, Tag, you moving your sports on to Saturdays now? Moving forward, I'm curious. Yep. Val knows. Clay is going. Clay Thompson, yes, he's already signed. Dotted line in Miami. Why wouldn't we hang out? Uh-oh. Wait, hold on. My latest. Yeah, and Ray, I haven't forgotten. I got to go back to your what's called. After this, after I stop the podcast and edit and post and do all that stuff, I'll go check out your your last couple of lives. And I'm sure you're going to do another live tonight, I would think. Clay's going to Miami. He can stop smoking weed and start doing. Oh, yikes. About to say live? No, I got you. Ray, definitely. Ray, I'll take a look today, sir. 100% my friend. Absolutely. We'll do that. Yeah, that's right. Geno Suarez placed on Raiders. That's a huge comeback. Was he really? Let me go. Where? Even on MLB.com, I had not seen that. Eugenio Suarez released. Yeah, he's on waivers. Ken Rosenthal. Now they have 48 hours. I'm surprised that why isn't that on any, it's not even, let me go back to MLB.com because MLB.com, unless they just added it, because I went there before, I went to ESPN, CBS Sports. Yeah, here it is. Oh, and TJ Friedel. Yeah, okay. On waivers. Yeah, ESPN doesn't have that. Let me go look. Yahoo Sports. I said, and CBS 2 because I go there sometimes as well. They'll probably have it now. Yeah, no, they don't. They have Leonard Williams. They have JJ McCarthy. Potential NFL trades. NFL eliminates Pro Bowl. Kuminga. Yeah, they don't have anything about Suarez here. And in Yahoo. Nope. Leonard Williams, Braden Smith, the offensive tackle, Little League World Series. Yeah, even if I go, I bet you I'll go to MLB, they'll have it. Hold on a second. Yeah, that's just so weird. Waffle Line, I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, now here it is. Right? Yeah, if you go to MLB. But I thought that should be like a top news item. And listen, I'm not trying to make Daniel Suarez out to be Albert Pujols, but geez. 28 players. Yeah, it's supposed to rain later. I know it rained earlier this morning. Yeah, let me see. The rest of this day. I think it's supposed to rain during rush hour. Look at Ray moving on up. Yeah, no bio today. I don't know what's up with bio. Weather. Yeah, rain at 1 o'clock, then stop. Then rain at 3, 4, and 5, and then that's it. Tomorrow rain. Ooh, there's got a lot. Saturday and Sunday supposed to be nice, and all I see is rain here. Temperatures are cooling off. Next Thursday, 77. Friday, 73. Saturday, 77. And that's going into Labor Day weekend. I wanted to go to the beach one time, but that doesn't look like it's happening. Ray at 124. Good for him. Keep on, keeping on. We'll watch you last half. I didn't want to watch the game. Yeah, that was the thing. I didn't watch anything last night. Wife was home, running around at that time because I went out right at the start of the game. But yeah, when I sat down to eat dinner, it was maybe, I don't know, something to 9. And of course, the wife wanted to watch something else, so I didn't watch any sports last night. If Anthony Volpe made 5 errors in his last 5 games, Yankee fan base would have tar and feathered him. On top of him batting, whatever, 220. That's awesome. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Powerball's a scam? Yeah, listen, I can see that. Yeah, listen. I've been one every now and again, and right, people can say, well, Jerry Reels, you're gambling. Yeah, I know. But listen, I pull a couple bucks here, there. I'm not going every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday to be playing these damn things. Absolutely not. And when I do, I play one ticket. All you need is one. But there's others that play, oh, I'm going to put $20. No way. No. Listen, if I knew, put it this way, if I knew that we were all together, let's say hanging out somewhere, and let's say, hey, let's each put in a couple bucks to play the lotto or write our names or to the Powerball or Mega Millions, I would do that. But that's it. I'm not putting in tens. No. You're right there. Yes. Not too long ago, if the Powerball went over 100 million, it's a big deal. Not every gets over 500 million. Yeah, it does seem that way. Yeah, it definitely does. I don't see how long the Avs player is signed for. It'd probably be 8 years if I had to take a guess. You won the lottery yesterday? Uh-oh. AI has it rigged? Yeah, I would not be surprised. $10 on a scratch ticket. Hey, you did win. George Lombard Jr. will be George Lombard Jr. Well, if he continues at this pace with the 5 errors in 5 games, I mean, he's going to be called. I don't even know what he'd be called. With $260K, I'd buy a suite on 360-day cruise. On a 360, is it that much to be on a 360-day cruise, Waffle Iron? Aha, advice guy knows what's up. Yes, sir. 260,000, I buy a suite on a 360-day cruise. I know, but then out to sea all that time. I know you'll be at destinations, etc. But also S&P 500, yes, that too. 100%. I'm going to try to go live for all 4 games of the Red Sox series, so it's going to be a busy Saturday for me. Yeah, I know. They got day-night doubleheader that day. Yeah, I'll definitely check you out, Ray, live, not just on repeat. Yeah, maybe over, let me see, Friday. Saturday, I'll be, let me think. Yeah, probably for the game, for the night game, for sure. Yes, he did. He got caught all right. Big dummy. I think I can name all the teams and their location in the Big Ten. I think I got it. Yeah, if I did off the top of my head, I mean, please, how many teams are in the Big Ten now? 20? If I had to take a guess, it's a lot. You got what? Purdue, which is, where's Purdue? West Lafayette. Penn State, Happy Valley. Michigan, Ann Arbor. Michigan State, East Lansing. Ohio State, Columbus. Minnesota. Ooh, Minnesota. Is that St. Paul? That'd be my guess. Don't correct me on it. Oh, you have to correct me on that probably. Oregon, Eugene. USC, LA. Yeah, no, I don't have college football in the brain right now. Oh, Illinois is Champaign. Man, I am drawing blanks right now. Iowa is Iowa. I don't even know. Is it Des Moines? It's probably Des Moines. No, it's got to be. I should know that, but Florida State gets beat 87-0 in 2023 against Michigan. Yes. Alabama lost to Texas that year. Wait a minute. So wait a minute. That year, I'm sure you're right about that, but wait a minute. The game where you guys played Alabama in the Rose Bowl, that wasn't the year you won the championship? Yeah, because 24. Oh, hold on a second. Yeah, 24 was the first year of the 12-team playoff. 23, I thought it was Michigan, Alabama, and Oregon, Washington. And then you guys played Washington. Thank you, Fishing Angel. As always, much appreciate you. Understood. Yes, will do. Prayers and blessings back to you, Fishing Angel, and yours, of course. My only problem was they were undefeated. I was sad when Jordan Travis went down. Yeah, then he got drafted by the Jets, and then I don't even know where he is right now. Yeah, Sports are Saturdays now, JB. All right, good. Ray was 100%. Not far from Florida State. Not to get the playoffs in 2023. They got destroyed. They still got it. Yeah, that would have been the playoff, though. But, yeah, I see why they didn't choose him. Move to Saturday. We could talk about the college games that happened that day. Oh, I see you. Yeah, and then you could preview the NFL the next day. They will never, ever leave me. Yeah. Oh, that was an awful play call. I don't know what the hell Saban was thinking. Football kicking up. I thought it would give us more things to talk about. Your thoughts, Jay Reels. No, I can see that. No, you can talk about the NFL. You can talk about whatever. No, that sounds good. The novice, greetings. Will the Pro Bowl be back when the NFL expands? Oh, God, I hope not. Hey, it can't. Why? The Pro Bowl was just such a waste. If you missed out what I said earlier, the novice, yeah, I commended the NFL for finally canceling the Pro Bowl or eliminating it altogether. But why do they have rosters? Why? There's no game. Why even bother? To me, it doesn't make any sense. My sister's ex-husband placed a bet in Vegas in 2006 for the Tigers to make the World Series. Wow. And they got to a World Series. Jay Reels, do you watch your Mets anymore? I watch my Giants team. Good for you. Do I watch them? Let me see. The last full Met game that I've watched, start to finish. You know, it's funny. The day I met up with Waffle Iron, and that wasn't start to finish because I got there, I think, in the bottom of the first. So I can't even say that game. But no, on TV, let me think. No, I did see a game after that. Yeah, I watched bits and pieces of the Dodger game the next day. Did I watch that Marlins series? Yeah, I think it was a couple weeks ago when they lost 3 out of 4. I think it was wait. I got to go back on the schedule. It was it wasn't Saturday's game. No, it was Sunday, Friday. Hold on. No, I think it was a Thursday night game. Yeah, I think it was the Thursday night game because the series prior to that, did they beat the... Damn, who did they play before that? Oh, my God. I can't believe I'm drawing blanks right now. So I go to their schedule. Hold on a second. Mets. Put it this way. It's been about 2 weeks, which I know is a terrible job on my part. No, you know what? That's a lie. I watched the rest of the Padre game, but I watched the Monday game. The Monday night game. That was a game where McClain pitched and Carson Bench threw out the 2 guys at home plate. Yeah, because that was the first night. Boy, I want to go back to that Marlins series. That's right. It was the Thursday game because they played the Braves before that. Well, I was trying to think of the team, but I couldn't think of the team. Yeah, I didn't watch. I watched bits and pieces of the Guardians, the Pirates, the Braves in Atlanta, Nationals. No, that Monday Padre game. Yeah, because McClain was pitching. I wanted to see him pitch. And, it was a tidy game. Then after that, bits and pieces. The White Sox series. Yeah, I saw the game, a little bit of the game Saturday. Yeah, I haven't watched. And kudos to you, Val, for watching every Giant game. That's an excellent job on your part. Alabama lost to Texas in 2023. Texas was a 3, Alabama was a 4. Oh, I understand. Right. Yeah. I thought when you said they lost to Texas, I thought they lost in the playoff game. Yes. That's right. And I said Oregon. Texas played Washington because Washington beat Oregon. And Texas did play Washington there. Yep. Yeah, I was rooting hard for Washington against Texas. I didn't want to see Texas win. Red Velvet Day. Happy birthday, Kevin. Detroit basketball. Kevin Herter? I guess that's what we're probably referring to, no? The only problem I had, J-Rod, was the fact that he didn't get picked, but I knew without Jordan Travis, they're not going to win. They're not going to win anyway. Now that, for sure. Yeah, please. The biggest waste of time. I'd rather watch paint dry, in all seriousness. Yeah, they should have got in, but we know that the committee picked. They did not pick them because of Travis being out. 4-0. Yeah. And they lost what, 8-1? I think it was 8-1. Yeah, I didn't watch any of the game last night. I did watch the game Tuesday night. Not the whole thing, though. Yes. J Rod, you too. Much appreciate you. Go Sports, you already know. Matt, what is happening? I need to reach out to you. I got to do so before the end of the day. Just to give you props for what you do. And I know I got to jump on one of your lives too. So I got a lot of work to do on the live front. Ray, Advice Guy, Matt. Who else? There's a couple others. I know, this is what happens. The community getting stronger, building stronger. I love it. All right, let me see what else I got here. Sports related. Packers had tight end Smith. Oh, Jonnu Smith. Look at that. Yeah, he did nothing last year with the Steelers. All right, so good for them. And then the Browns released Cedric Tillman. All right, let me see. Yeah, just looking at some latest news and notes here in sports. Yeah, let me see that. All right. Yeah, sports-wise, people, I think that's just about it. Whatever else is on your mind, please feel free. We'll talk. We'll chat. Hawaii at Stanford. Yeah, the game's... let's see. Schwarber. All right. Yeah, that's it. Blake Griffin will host late night talk show? He's partnering with Amazon Studios, YouTube, and Wondery for the new show. What is this? The six-time All-Star served as a studio analyst for Amazon's NBA coverage last season. Mortal Media, film and TV production founded by Griffin and former NFL veteran Ryan Khalil. Oh, yeah, the offensive tackle or guard, right? Panthers. All right. So there you go. Now he's going to be the next David Letterman. Good for him. All right, so we got with the... Oh, let me catch up here. Matt, yes. Tag. Just working and listening in. I appreciate that advice, guy, as always. That's your promoter, me, texting them and telling them to get their butts on. And J-Rod, do a good job of that. J-Rod, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. I do. And Matt, thanks for stopping by. Tag, thanks for stopping by. Everybody, you know. Yeah, Val, definitely do so. Yes. Good job, J. Rose Muff season. Yeah, rough indeed. How much longer he's on? I can't post how I communicate. How long am I? Yeah, I'm not going to be on. If you're talking about me, Matt, I'm not going to be on that much longer. I pretty much went through everything that's happening in sports. I'm just kind of looking through just to make sure I don't miss out on anything. If there's anything that pops up that I could talk about. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I have sports-wise. And, yeah, I will probably sign off here in the next couple of minutes as I get rid of some of these tabs here. Ketel Marte, have we seen that? Been there, done that. Yeah, I still got to watch that Jason Tatum workout. I didn't forget that, Waffle Iron. I have it right here. It's this tab. Not that you could see it, but him not having that lift or that jump. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. All right. I talk to you guys more when I talk to people face to face. I got all it. Yeah. I hear you, J-Rod. I'll do it next time. All right. No problem, Matt. I appreciate you. You know that. And Val, keep trying your best. That's all you can do, right? Nah, you're a great fan. I don't know, maybe because I get in my older age, even though, yeah, of course I'm going to follow what's happening with the Mets, whatever, but yeah, which, you know. But kudos to you. All right, that'll do it, my good people. Another episode just about in the books. As always, thank you so much for stopping by, carving out precious time out of your day to listen to what it is I have to say about the toy department of life, otherwise known as sports. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel here on YouTube at JReels, on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Throw me a few stars, write a review. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you need to contact me for any way, shape, or form, you can do so at the following social media accounts: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, the JReels Podcast, or just JReels on Instagram. You have Twitter, JReels1, just the number, Twitch, JReels1, just the number, or the old-fashioned way, the JReels Podcast at gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to follow up with you guys and gals, because whether you do or do not know, this is what I love to do as you tap the vein in the blood, in the DNA, as I always like to say. Talking sports is birth, because where else are you going to get the fire, the passion, the energy, the fury? As long as I sit in front of this camera and microphone, I promise that I'll continue to do so, and appreciate you stopping by, and hopefully you keep coming back, because as you already know, I cover everything from what goes on: the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from where I am to wherever you are, the JReels Podcast always comes live, correct, direct, and in full effect. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the weekend of sports. And enjoy whatever it is that you do throughout the course of these next few days, as we'll recap it and revisit come Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You already know. And until next time on the JReels Podcast, on the flip, baby. All right, now get to your last comments. Kevin Herter, just like I thought. Very good, Val. You're doing your night one tonight. I'm sure that's for, StreamYard. I bet that's for Tag. No, I'm not. That's the advice guy. He's going to be on tonight. Yes, Val, thank you for StreamYard. Not sure it was last Thursday when we all got on. Yes, Matt plugging away. Feel free. I love it. And yes, advice guy, acknowledging that, which, of course, again, I love. And thanks again, advice guy, for stopping by. What time are you going on tonight? Yeah, just so I can check it out, too. Of course, Val with the light count. I usually go around 10 p.m. Is that right? There you go. Right on cue. 10 o'clock. All right. Yeah, I'll make sure to tune in. I'll be on like an hour. Matt, is that right? All right, cool. And that's actually perfect because once I close this out, I will, because I got to edit, I got to tidy up everything, post, do all that. But if you're going to be on an hour, I'll be free in an hour. And Ray, if you're on here too, I know you be on tonight, 7:05 Yankees? So, even if I could just jump on, support you guys for a few. Absolutely, man. 100% we'll do that. And I appreciate you guys, as you know. Prayer emoji. As always, thanks so much for stopping by. And, until next time, everybody, on the flip. So, Matt, I'll see you in an hour. Ray, I'll see you later. And Advice Guy later tonight, too. So, thanks again. On the flip.